Okay, listen up. Imagine if your husband told you in front of all of your friends that he would rather go back to his dead wife than continue your marriage. And then imagine if your brother was getting married but told you that you were not allowed to bring your fiance. Or imagine your husband goes and buys a cybertruck when you're massively in debt. Today we are going to be judging this week's worst posts on Am I the Arsehole? So grab a snack, get a drink, because this is going to be juicy. Am I the arsehole for being mad at my husband for saying he would pick his deceased wife over me? Initial thoughts, I don't really think that it's going to be possible that I read this and then end up on the husband's side, if I'm honest. If the title's true, then this can only go bad. My husband was married once before me. She was his high school sweetheart. They started dating their junior year, survived long distance during college, and got married when they were both 23, very shortly after graduating college. She passed away unexpectedly at age 26 from an aneurysm, and it obviously devastated him, especially because they were extremely young. They never had children. Damn, that is upsetting. Holy crap, I cannot even imagine, I don't even want to imagine how I would react if my fiance was to die early, and God forbid that ever happens to me or to her. To be sat there planning your life with someone, talking about how you're going to have kids in the future, you're going to have a home, have a family, and then to unexpectedly pass away, that is absolutely tragic. He contemplated remarrying because he was so heartbroken, but we ended up meeting about 4 years after that. We got married when I was 31 and he was 34 and have 2 children. Last night we were at a friend potluck gathering. Everything was going well until one of our friends brought up a new topic that had to do with relationships. She's newly divorced, so it was about her divorce. Others were chiming in with past relationships from high school and college, etc. I had said I never thought I would get married because my luck with men was always terrible until I met my husband, and I said I felt very lucky to have met him. Cute. After a little while longer, my husband brings up his deceased wife. Everyone knows he was married before me and that she passed. He was talking about her and then drops a bomb and goes, "Oh my God. If she walks through that front door right now, I'd pick up where we left off." If I'm being honest, that's an instant divorce for me. That is terrible. I can understand that it's a very tragic situation, but you've got remarried, sir. So clearly, if in your heart you can sit there and say that you'd go back to your deceased wife after everything that you've been through with your new wife, you got 2 kids for God's sake. Clearly you are not over it and should never have got remarried. If I'm being honest, it felt like someone put my heart into a blender and punched me in the gut as hard as they could. Everyone in the room could sense the awkwardness that followed. To avoid making a scene, I just laughed it off, even though I think it was still obvious that it hurt me. I just felt that if you still felt that way, then why are we married? I've never asked him to get over his wife. I have never had a deceased spouse or even a deceased partner, so I'm unsure how that feels. But I would never say that in front of my new spouse. After the gathering, we left, and I did not speak to him the entire car ride home, or barely the entire night. I did tell him that what he said hurt my feelings deeply and that we could talk in the morning once I'm calmed down, because I didn't want to say anything mean to him. I ended up sleeping on the couch because he would not leave me alone. It's now the next morning, I've barely slept, he's still sleeping, I'm not really sure what to say or what he will say. Holy crap, this one is juicy. Firstly, I'm going to say there are so many layers to this that obviously there is not one good way to deal with it or one bad way to deal with it. It's going to be a mix of both. Might come across controversial to some people, but if the husband can still comfortably sit there and say that if she walks through the front door, then I would happily jump into her arms, then he definitely should not have got remarried. If it was me in this instance, I would completely understand being heartbroken and the absolute tragedy of the situation. I'm not going to say anything about that because that is terrible. Like I said, I don't even want to imagine what I would do if I was in that situation of having my life partner unexpectedly pass away. But in this situation, with the surface level knowledge that we have, I don't think he should have got remarried if he was still getting over his deceased wife. Like I said, it's really complex because of how tragic the original situation is. But yeah, what do you guys think? Should he have got remarried? Definitely what he said during that potluck I don't think anyone's going to disagree was wrong. But let's see what people have said in the comments. I was widowed at 28 and I was devastated to the core when my husband died. I have been with my second husband for 20 years and love him deeply and would never ever say something so deeply hurtful. My heart broke for you seeing that your husband said that to you. You have children together, for crying out loud. I don't know how you can take something like that back. I'm so sorry. There is no way you can take that back. After someone says to you that they would rather go back to their past relationship than you, there's no way to take that back. Absolutely not. My wife and I are currently separated. I recently was told that her previous relationship, the bio dad of the kids I was raising, was her true soulmate and that she wishes he didn't kill himself. Oh my word. Haven't stopped thinking about that for 1 second. Some thoughts should never be spoken into existence. Yeah, that's... no words. Luckily, we don't have to wonder how the situation went on because they've posted a very nice and long update. So they've started by saying, anyway, we talked. I asked him to let me go first and to not interrupt. He doesn't usually interrupt anyway. This isn't verbatim, just a rough sketch of how things went. I also included points some of you made without mentioning I posted about this, of course. Ooh, so we're gonna get a transcript of their conversation, basically. This is gonna be very juicy. I just want to say that I do not hate you for what you said. I understand where you were coming from. She died and it was something neither of you saw coming. I can never ask you to get over her or to forget her because I know how much you loved her. She was your first love. I do understand that if she hadn't passed, we likely would not be together and you two likely would be. I have always understood this. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's such a complex issue that there is no right or wrong. It's just so complex. I don't know any other word for it. But to say what you said hurt my feelings and embarrassed me. And even though her coming back from the dead is impossible, if it were, you would leave me and the children. Yeah, see, that's just a crazy thing to say. Especially in front of all of your friends. Like, maybe if it was just between the two of you, it wouldn't be so bad, but you said that in front of a group of all of your mates. So now they all know that you don't really want your wife, you want your dead wife. It's crazy. Especially with the two children. Imagine if they heard it. It was probably one of the worst things anyone has ever said to me. It's clear your feelings about her are still raw and it still hurts. And I want you to get counselling and I want couples counselling very, very soon. He then apologised profusely, teared up and said how he did not mean to hurt me and embarrass me in front of our friends. He basically said that he thought about it before he went to sleep and came to the realisation that he should have kept it to himself. No matter whether or not you've said it or you've kept it to yourself, it's still one of your feelings, so you still have to deal with that somehow. And I have a feeling that if he didn't say it out loud, then it wouldn't have got dealt with. I mean, I can't be angry for what he thinks. He loved her and she died. His feelings are also valid here. Also said that he would never leave me and the children and that what he said was just a poorly thought out and poorly worded statement. You can say that again. That he was not thinking clearly and when he said it, he immediately felt that maybe it had come out wrong. I asked him how he would feel if I said that to him. He says, yeah, it's bad, I know, I shouldn't have said it, I wouldn't be happy, I know you aren't happy, I should have apologised in front of everyone as soon as I said it, or not have said it at all. Like I said a minute ago, a feeling like that you should tell your partner so that everything's transparent and you guys can work on it together, but definitely not in front of everyone. That's crazy. I still can't believe that part. I then asked him to think of the children and said, it's like you saying, hey, children's name, if my dead wife walked in through the door, I'd pack my bags and never speak to you guys again. And then it got really uncomfy. Yeah, I don't know if that was the best thing to say. After some silence, I had no idea what to say after that. He asked me if I wanted to divorce. So I asked him why he would think I would want to divorce just to see what he would say. He says he doesn't know. I didn't answer his question and said we needed to look into counselling, that he needed to get counselling for himself and that we would go to couples counselling, and if the answer is no, I'm not interested in moving forward. This isn't 100% about the comment anymore. I need to know if he's willing to make the necessary changes and put in the work to fix what he messed up, because if he were to dismiss my feelings or not want counselling, it means he doesn't think this was that serious and that he may not take me seriously. I can understand that part. Some of the comments also told me to take the kids elsewhere. I agreed with this because it would be difficult to get through this while also parenting. I've got a very young daughter and a son that is a toddler. They are currently with my parents for the weekend and I'll be getting them Sunday night, so this gives us time to work. He suggested he sleep on the couch instead of me. I have nowhere else to go. I haven't told my parents because I really would like to keep this between me and him as much as possible. Family and friends jump to judge too fast and sometimes offer extreme and harmful advice, and it's also embarrassing. I think that's a good call personally, because it's very true that sometimes you can go to your family or your closest friends and they will have your best interests at heart, but they might not have the situation's best interests at heart. And obviously they'll only hear your side of things, and you might tell them when you're in like an emotional state, so they might hear a very like exaggerated or like more just emotional version of the story, and then possibly dislike the other person much more than you did in that situation. So I think that was a very good call. But what do you guys think? Do you think she should have got some advice from her family and friends, or do you think that she did right to keep it to herself? Also, yes, as she said, it would be very embarrassing to tell this story to even more people than the people that already know. Luckily, we both have very good insurance that will help with counselling. I told him that it seems like whatever counselling he got after her death was not enough, and that he was not consistent with it like he should have been. With trauma like that, I personally would have been in counselling for years before I even considered remarrying. He agreed. He was only in it for about a year and then stopped once he moved away from his hometown, never got back into it. Yeah, that's not good. To me, that seems like a very short time to try and get over someone who you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with, not even getting into the fact that that person died unexpectedly, so it's not even like they broke up with you, which just like doubles the pain. He also agreed to the individual and couples counselling, kept apologising, kept telling me he loved me all day. It was also so difficult to be around him because he kept looking at me. I couldn't think. It was like he would try to say something and then he would just stare and not say anything. During dinner, he told me that he looked for counsellors himself and wanted me to see if I thought they were okay enough and that he would keep looking. After all that, I told him that we can't really predict anything until we've met with therapists. I don't want him to keep saying sorry. I want work and change, and then maybe we can move forward, but this is the first step. I don't want to just leave him. I'm also not saying divorce is off the table. I think he's still hurting from her death and his judgment is very, very clouded. If he didn't love me, I doubt he would have apologized so many times and looked for counselors on his own. A man that doesn't love me probably would have made me look or rejected going altogether. And then she just goes on to talk about how some people in the comments of the last post were really nasty and were actually trying to make her resent him. But now we have the whole situation. We have a couple things to think about here. In that original situation, do you think that she's the asshole for, you know, being really upset with her husband for saying that he wanted to be with his deceased wife? Not her. And then now I also want to know what you thought about how she handled the situation. Do you think she's right for trying to work through it with her husband and get therapy and counselling together? Or do you think that what he said was too much and that there's nothing else here to try and fix? But apparently today we are looking at marriages, because the next one is, am I the asshole for skipping my brother's wedding because his fiance excluded my wife from the guest list? Again, I always like to give my jump in the gun initial thoughts on the situation, and just from that sentence alone, yes, I would be skipping that wedding too. My brother James is getting married next month, and what should have been a joyous family event has turned into a nightmare. The issue, his fiancée Emily didn't invite my wife Lisa to the wedding. Emily and Lisa have never been close, but I wouldn't call them enemies either. However, Emily has always seemed a bit cold towards Lisa. The tipping point was last year during a family vacation. Lisa, who's naturally outgoing and bubbly, struck up conversations with everyone, including strangers at the resort. Emily, who's quieter and more reserved, seemed annoyed by this. After the trip, she told James that Lisa was attention-seeking and accused her of making the vacation all about herself. I didn't think much of it at the time, chalking it up to personality differences. That's a crazy thing to say about your brother-in-law's partner. You don't have to be the best of friends, but Jesus Christ. Fast forward to now, and Emily has made it clear she doesn't want Lisa at her wedding. When I confronted James about it, he admitted it was Emily's decision and said he didn't want to push back because it's her day. He added that I should respect Emily's wishes and come to the wedding alone for the sake of family harmony. I'm sorry mate, but family harmony went out the window the minute that you didn't invite his fiancée. And again, fair enough. Respect Emily's wishes, but I'll respect them by not turning up at all. I was stunned. Lisa and I have been married for 5 years. She's part of this family. Excluding her feels like a slap in the face. Not just to her, but to me as well. When I told James I wouldn't attend without Lisa, he accused me of being dramatic and trying to punish him for something out of his control. He said I was letting Lisa's hurt feelings ruin his wedding day. What are you on about, fella? Our parents are divided. My dad says I'm right to stand by my wife and that James and Emily are being unreasonable. My mum, on the other hand, thinks I should just keep the peace and attend the wedding because it's not worth destroying your relationship with your brother over one day. Again, that's being framed as if it's the guy who wrote this fault for his wife not being invited, if you get me. It's not your job to keep the peace if someone else has decided that your wife is not allowed to come to this event. 1,000,000% I'm standing by my partner and saying, no, if she's not coming, then I'm not coming. What are you talking about? Lisa has been deeply hurt by the whole ordeal. She feels disrespected and excluded and told me that she would never have done something like this if the roles were reversed. She's trying to be supportive of whatever decision I make, but I can tell she'd be devastated if I went to the wedding without her. It's put a strain on our marriage because she feels like I'm not standing up for her enough. At the same time, James is my only sibling and I've always thought we were close. I know skipping his wedding will hurt him and it could permanently damage our relationship. Part of me wonders if I should just swallow my pride and go for his sake, but another part of me feels like this isn't just about one day, it's about standing up for what's right. I don't want to ruin my brother's wedding, but I also don't want to betray my wife or compromise my values. Yeah, I don't think you'd be swallowing your pride and going for his sake, because at the end of the day, him and his fiance have absolutely disrespected your partner. So there's no such thing as, oh, swallowing your pride and going for his sake. The way that I'm reading this in my head is that James and Emily have both slapped your wife in the face. And if you were to go to the wedding without her, you would also be slapping her in the face. Maybe there's stuff going on that they haven't really mentioned. Like, there has to be a deeper reason for not wanting to invite her. Like, she must have done something seriously bad to deserve to be excluded from the guest list. But before we see what everybody else thinks, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think he should go to the wedding, or do you think he should stay behind with his wife? Not the arsehole. Do not go without your wife. Emily's causing the division, not you. It's your brother's day too. He should have a huge say on who attends his wedding. If anything, standing by your wife's side will show him how to be a better husband, or maybe to consider finding a better wife. Listen, I won't say anything, but you know, they're kind of spitting. And then someone replied to that saying, if you go to the wedding without your wife, be prepared for her to be excluded at every future family get-together. If she does get excluded from this event and you kind of just like put up with it, then it kind of sets a precedent that Emily, I think her name was, I'm so confused with all the names now, but it's kind of setting a precedent that Emily can just have whatever she wants, and if she's coming, then she can say, you know, Lisa, your wife, is not allowed to turn up. Someone's actually wrote what they would say to the brother, and they said, listen bro, I love you, but your wife has put us in a tough situation. I'm not coming to your wife without my wife, period. End of story. She's a part of this family too. If your wife ever wants to apologize, we'll be here to listen. I love you and hope y'all have a good day. I think that's a very good message, you know, succinct, doesn't drag it on too much, and gets the feelings known. Yeah, there's no way I'm turning up to that wedding without my wife, especially if you've just excluded her for no reason. And finally, this one's gonna look a little bit strange because it was deleted whilst I was reading the other ones, which is always great. So I've had to do some jiggery pokery to bring it back. So it's gonna look a bit strange, but trust me, it's still the same. Am I the asshole for wanting a divorce because my husband bought a cybertruck as an investment? Dearie me, do not get me started on cybertrucks. I mean, at the risk of beating a dead horse, just look at it. My husband just dropped 80k on a cybertruck without discussing it with me first. We've been married for 8 years and have always discussed major purchases, but he went behind my back and put down a massive deposit using our joint savings account. Here's the kicker. We're $40,000 in debt from his failed crypto investments last year, and I'm still paying off my student loans. We can barely afford our mortgage as is. Oh man, this is not going to be good. He claims the Cybertruck is an investment and that it will appreciate in value. I already dislike Elon Musk as is, so this really got under my skin. I really don't know where he's got this idea that buying any sort of car is an investment. I feel like it's well known that cars depreciate in value literally as soon as you start driving them. It's not really the same as buying a Da Vinci painting and then in years to come it's going to go massively up in value and everyone's going to want to buy it from you. This is a truck, and a really, really bad looking one. When I confronted him, he said I was being dramatic and that men should be able to make decisions about cars. Oh man. He took out a loan with a ridiculous 12% interest rate to cover the rest of the cost. Our credit is already shot from his crypto losses and this will make it even worse. I forgot about the crypto. I didn't even mention that a second ago. What do you mean you've got $40,000 in debt from failed crypto investments? And now you want to go and buy a Cybertruck as another investment? Brother, as soon as you lost that 40k, you were not the person to go to when talking about money. If anything, your wife should be making all the decisions from now on, because clearly you don't know what you're talking about. I'm beyond furious. This isn't just about the Cybertruck, it's about trust, financial responsibility and respect. He's shown zero regard for our financial stability or my input as his partner. I told him I want a divorce and he laughed it off, said I'm overreacting about just a car. It's not just a car, it's $80,000. You've set fire to nearly 100 grand. It's not just a car. My friends are split. Some think I'm justified over our financial situation, while some think divorce is extreme over a car. My parents think we should try counselling first. Listen, there are some things that counselling can fix, but if you love Cybertrucks, I think you're too far gone. Lamau, that Cybertruck already depreciated the minute it came out of the factory. Your husband sounds like an idiot trying those get-rich-quick schemes, especially with crypto. Someone else has said, not the arsehole, you'd be justified for wanting a divorce based solely on his pathetic choice of vehicle aesthetic. Honestly, it's very true. Even if he just turned around to you and said, wow, Cybertrucks look beautiful, that's divorce-worthy in my books. What do you guys think? Do you think that she should divorce her husband over buying a Cybertruck, not even thinking about the fact that they're massively in debt as is from his crypto investments? Jesus. But yeah, do you think that she should divorce him for this, or do you think that, you know, they should go counselling and try and fix this poor man's brain? I don't know what's in the water today, but every situation we've gone through has been in some way to do with marriage. We had the first one where the wife was upset because the husband said that if his dead wife walked in through the door, then he would jump straight in her arms. And then we had the second one where this guy's brother's fiance had excluded his wife from the guest list, but was upset that the guy didn't want to come. And then we had the final one where the woman wanted to get a divorce because her husband decided to spend $80,000 on a Cybertruck when they were already massively in debt. Make sure you go in the comments and put down your thoughts on every single one of these situations, because I've said my piece, now I want to know yours. And if you're feeling extra nice, you could hit that little like button and then hit subscribe as well if you want us to meet again. But if I don't see ya, see ya.